Good morning, everyone. We are the team project for ELO, Obligatory Logistics Envelope, and we thank you for assisting this meeting. A few elements before we really begin. One point, this webinar is recorded, so we will send you the record, the presentation, and the answers to the frequent questions later. You can write your questions in the part questions. Regarding the number of the participants, we won't be able to answer all questions during the webinar, but we will take some during the presentation. And as I just said, we will send you a consolidated document with all Q&A later. So let's begin. Objectives of this webinar. We will present you ELO, Logistics Obligatory Envelope, and its impacts to you and to the process of Smart Border. And we will explore the support resources available to you in order to prepare to this major change. First precisions also. ELO will be deployed only for the exchange of goods via the Smart Border with the United Kingdom and processed by SI Brexit. So it's to say that it concerns only roll-on and roll-off traffic and unaccompanied trucks. We won't speak about traffic via airplanes or via ships. No, it's only for goods exchange via trucks, roll-on and roll-off or unaccompanied. So this is the summary. 3 points, presentation of the changes to the Smart Border in 25, the impacts of ELO's deployment for you economic actors, and support resources.
Good morning, everybody. So let's start. Maybe a few reminders before. It's been 5 years now since the UK officially left the EU at the end of January 2020, and 4 years since the reestablishment of formalities and control at the border, and I should say at least at the EU border, 4 years, and 4 years on the French border that the SI Brexit is operating without any major issue. It enables us to swiftly process the crossing of nearly 3.5 million lorries per year. But of course, nothing is really perfect. And there are still some issues, especially at pairing, with some wrong document which are scanned or some missing document at the scanning. And that may create some what we call a wrong orange status and delay some of the crossing. So things need to improve and things must improve. Furthermore, as you know, the EU customs code reform is now in full speed with many IT systems which are evolving. ICS2, it will be discussed a bit further during this webinar. NCTS Phase 5, and in France, Delta IE for the declaration. So right now it is necessary to update the SI Brexit to make sure that it still can connect and interact with the new or improved system at the EU and French level. And it's the perfect timing for trying to develop an important evolution for the SI Brexit, the Obligatory Logistic Envelope, l'Enveloppe Logistique Obligatoire, that we will name ELO from now on. Please note that ELO is not replacing the SI Brexit. It's just a way of strengthen and simplify the process at the border and to interact with SI Brexit, but it is not replacing SI Brexit. So what does ELO bring? First, a more secure crossing. ELO will enable to concentrate in a single barcode all the formalities at import or at export, the pre-lodge declaration, the transit, the ENS at import, the transit or the export declaration, EAD at export. ELO, it will be also more secure because ELO will be created on the French Douanes website, so we'll have to log on that. So first, more secure, more reliable crossing also, because when you will create the ELO, when you will upload formalities on it, MRNs, LRNs, and etc., there will be a check to make sure that these formalities are existing and that they are in a correct status regarding these systems. For example, if you want to put a pre-launch declaration, we'll make sure that this pre-launch declaration is at the pre-launch status and it hasn't been validated yet. Also, on the level of more reliable crossing, I was discussing a bit before about the problem at pairing. As you know, at the pairing stage, there are questions which are asked between the pairing agent and the driver. Are you empty or not? Are you bringing some goods which are underneath sanitary or phytosanitary process? This question now will be asked during the creation of ELO. So in fact, the responsible for creating the ELO will have to answer this question, which will be more secure and more reliable because he will know what he is putting on the declaration. So more secure, more reliable, simplify crossing also. It will be only one ELO and for each lorry. And an ELO for every lorry, which means that even empty will have to have an ELO, and only one, so it will not be possible to create sub-envelope or things like that. So simpler, and also something which is harmonized, an harmonized crossing at the border, because in fact, the way ELO will work is really close to the way that the GMR is working. So for the driver of the lorry, it will be easier at crossing just to give the pairing agent two documents, two barcodes, one for the French system for SI Brexit, ELO, the other one for the UK system, GVMS, the GMR. So only these two documents will be needed for the crossing and will be needed for each crossing, which will be a kind of a simpler. So as you can see, ELO will speed up the process at crossing and will simplify also the process. So when does ELO will arrive? As you can see on the new slide, ELO will arrive in April 2025. It will be available from the start of April. It will be a 6-month transitional period. And at the end, in September 2025, it will be mandatory to have an envelope. It is important also to highlight that during this transitional period, it won't be possible to have a double run in a way that you will not be able to use the former, the current envelope, and the ELO. So that's something that you will have to be careful with. From April 2025, it will not be possible to use the current envelope. You will need to use the new ELO if you want to use an envelope. For that, for April, you need to anticipate the change. You need to prepare for that. Especially, you will need to identify within your supply chain who will be the one creating the ELO, who will be the one able to have all the MRNs, LRNs, and relevant information needed for the crossing in order for him to do the ELO. So in this webinar, we'll give you more detail on the way the ELO will work, on the impact on the ELO, and of course, on all the resources and material that will be at your disposal in order for you to prepare for that.
And next, we will now be discussing some of the impacts of ELO's deployment. This slide shows an overview of the main actors, the public, which will be concerned by the ELO, notably drivers, economic operators, and ELO managers. So the drivers will benefit from a simplified border crossing. They will only need to present a single barcode regrouping together all of the declarations necessary for the border crossing. So they only need to present the PDF from ELO, which has this barcode on it. After, economic operators, they will need to adapt their operating procedures to ensure ELO compliance. A single person will be designated to create the ELO. And we've decided to give you the option to decide who will be the ELO creator or the ELO manager. It's the same person. The ELO manager needs to contact all of the actors of the logistics supply chain to have the documents necessary for the border crossing. This single barcode will be generated after all of the documents put inside ELO are determined to be compliant, and there will only be one single ELO per truck. This also includes empty trucks. And with the new ELO, there is no longer the possibility to create several sub-envelopes. This single barcode will contain all of the declaratory data necessary for the border crossing. This means that ENS, the import, transit, and export declarations will be included in the ELO during its creation. Only the references of these declarations are put inside the envelope, and the national systems for creating these declarations are still needing to be used. So ELO only regroups the references under one barcode. ELO also will contain the pertinent information on the loaded goods inside of the lorry. So whether these goods are phytosanitary goods, sanitary, or fishery products. Also, the ELO manager will need to select whether or not the goods being transported are covered by a TIR or ATA carnet. So the ELO manager, the ELO creator, they need to have this information communicated to them by the supply chain actors in order for them to successfully create this ELO. And the ELO obviously has to be created before the border crossing so that the information, the barcode, can be communicated to the lorry driver before he arrives at the port infrastructure.
So, as said previously by my colleagues, you will have to designate a unique ELO creator. This person has to be the key person that can regroup multiple information depending on the organization of your supply chain. That's why we did not fix in stone who must be the responsible for creating the envelope, but it really depends on your supply chain, on your organization, and depending on the flows of logistic flows you have. So this creator can be either, for example, the carrier, the customer representative, the exporter, etc. The first thing you need to do is to inform you. That's why you are here today. We will put all the relevant information on our website in French and in English. So you can determine what is the best solution for you. Yes, and you can you can reflect also on the best person to create the ELO. It can be a different person for each load. Depending, for example, if you are doing separate sendings or not, it can change for every loading. The only thing you will need you will need, except from the only thing you will need, except the agreement of all the your interlocutors, is creating an account on the French Custom website. It's a simplified account. You will need only to register with the name, full name, and email address. You won't need to be certified by the French Customs Authority. So it's pretty simple also to be the creator of the ELO since you have all the informations. Yes, of course, for the person who already have an account because they are exporter, because they have other business doing with the French custom, they can use this same account. And another precision is that those accounts are available for EU and extra EU persons. It does not. It is not restricted for French or European operators. So today the pairing questions, meaning the questions asked to the drivers, are you empty or loaded? Are you crossing for import or export? And are you transporting tier ATA carnet, fisheries, or phytosanitary goods? All those questions will be at the hand of the ELO creator. We think that it's the best option to reduce the errors when responding or asking those questions. So that are the type of information that the ELO creator must have in addition to the declarations and ENS. And finally, today with the current website of the envelope, once an envelope is paired, you lost every vision of the contents. Tomorrow with the ELO, with the creator with his account can keep movement history of all the trucks, all the ELO created, and can track the progress of goods during the crossing. So you will have this history with the contents of all ELO. You can modify an ELO until the pairing. The pairing is really the moment that you can't modify, after what you can't modify the envelope. And you will receive all the notifications from the crossing companies, meaning when your ELO is paired, when it is embarked, and when it is disembarked. You won't though have the informations of the orientations, orange or green lane, because this information is in fact consulted by the drivers during the crossing. So we think that it's better to not multiply the source of information to avoid any miscomprehension. Sorry. Yeah.
And before we move on, we will answer to some questions which have been asked in the chat. So I will take some for everybody. We require crossing the smart border will require the presentation at each crossing in both ways, from UK to France and from France to UK, the presentation of one ELO reference and one GMR reference. So the driver has to present at each time 2 references, but only 2, one ELO from one part and one GMR for the second part. There will be no interconnection between English IT systems and European or French IT systems. So it's two separated processes. And so you will have one ELO reference for each lorry, every lorry, in each way of crossing. It will be the only way to cross the smart border to present the ELO reference and the GMR reference. So in some way, ELO is comparable to GMR, yes, even if GVMS and IT systems like NCTS, AES, Delta in France are not the same and are not interconnected, but it's very comparable, yes. And it's one of the objectives of the deployment of ELO, to simplify the way of crossing and to parallelize between the French way and the way of crossing. Regarding the ENS, we will speak about just after, but yes, ENS will be mandatory for ELO when it's required, even if it's not yet required by GVMS in the GMR. We have a compliance obligation with the European Union to process safety and security on the smart border at the time required by Union Custom Code. So I will process you just after this slide. But yes, ENS in the ELO, even if there is no equivalent yet in GMR. ELO won't, yes?
It's optional in GMR.
Well, it's optional in GMR. ELO won't require UK reference of declarations. In ELO, you only put the declarations for the crossing of France to UK or UK to France processed by French IT systems or European Union systems like NCTS or AES. And in GMR, you will put the reference of declarations processed by UK systems, IT systems. There is no creator designated by French customs for the ELO. We insist you can adapt regarding your economic and logistic process, and you can change at each crossing if you need it. So we don't have a fixed schema of creation of the ELO. It will be very smooth, very it's as you need it. But we require the presentation of one ELO reference for pairing without interfering with your choice of who is creating the ELO. And you can change at every time. In the same company, you can have several creators of ELO. They can use one account if they share the identification, or they can use several accounts. It's as you want. We won't check this process. The usage of ELO is also required for every traffic which is crossing with the smart border and processed by SI Brexit. Is to say also for postal and express freight, yes. And if the truck is empty, you will check empty at the screen, and after that, the barcode reference will be generated. you won't have to put declaration, because if you say it's empty, you won't have declaration, never ANS or other declaration. So okay, so I will move to some elements with ICS2 and ENS. Okay. So, filling of pre-customs clearance formalities. ELO and SA Brexit are connected to the safety and security system ICS2. You have to be very cautious with the parallel deployments of ELO and ICS2 because it's very linked, as you can see in the slide. So, first of all, filling of the entry summary declaration before the creation of in ELO. Be careful to the filling delays and crossing times, especially via the tunnel, via the shuttle. You have to create your ENS before you can put in the ELO in order for us to process the safety security analysis and to have the results of the analysis during the crossing. And with that, we can orient the truck, the lorry, to make some controls if needed, just after the disembark and at the first entry customs office. So it's necessary to use ICS2 in order to create ELO starting April 1, 25 in the import sense of the crossing, so from UK to France, for loaded lorries, which require the creation of ENS. You can use ELO at export from France to UK as from the April 1st for empty lorries also, but for loaded, you have to use ICS2 in order to create ELO. I'm sorry. Yes. Excuse me. So for loaded lorries, it will be needed to have at least one ENS per ELO. Okay, because we will check, we will have coherence controls when you will create ELO. And if you say the lorry is loaded, you have a transit or import declaration, but you don't have an ENS, you won't be able to close the ELO and to have your barcode. So it's very mandatory and controlled. As for the deployment calendar, it's the same calendar for ICS2 and ELO from April 1st to September 1st, 25. September 1st, 25, ENS filling is mandatory for all economic operators, as the ELO will be required at the paying stage for the smart border. Okay, so that is for safety security declaration. In pre-custom clearance formalities, you also have presentation notification and temporary storage declaration. There is a particularity in the smart border. The presentation notification is automatically generated by the SA Brexit with no action needed by the economic operator. You only create the ENS, and after that, you won't have to do anything in order to create a notification presentation notification. It's automatically generated. Okay, so that is a simplification for you in the crossing process. PNTS, which is the system in France, we call it ANTES, but PNTS is the system which is used in order to fill the notification presentation and temporary storage declaration, is not deployed for the goods passing through the Brexit Smart Border. And you don't have to lodge a temporary storage declaration because we are in the roll-on, roll-off traffic, so you won't put the goods in a temporary storage installation during the process. So you only have to focus on the ENS when you cross the smart border, okay? No, ENS is not mandatory for empty lorries coming from UK to France. No. ENS is mandatory only for loaded lorries. It's for goods. It's safety, security for goods transported. Okay, so it's when you have empty lorry, you just put empty in the screen, and after that, you have your barcode generated. For export from France to UK, you don't have ICS2. It will be the UK system of safety security, and we know that there is a distortion between. There is no connection between ICS2 and the UK system. So you have to respond to the requirements of UK HMRC administration in GMR and GVMS, but. And ENS is also needed for transit. Yes, it's needed for transit, for import. Yes. And in order to connect to ICS2 and to create ENS, you have to check with your national customs administration in order to be accompanied to use this new system. So, filling of customs clearance formalities and controls. ICS2 risk analysis is performed by all member states of EU and is done on the basis of one ENS, of the ENS. You can have several ENS for one loaded lorry also. You need one at least, but you will have, if it's required, you will have several ENS in ELO. The risk analysis is performed during the crossing. So after exiting the ferry or the shuttle, if the risk analysis ICS2 is positive, the lorry will be oriented to the orange lane. If it's negative, it will be oriented to the green lane if there is no problem with other customs declarations, or orange lane also if we need to control the import declaration, the transit declaration, or if validation is needed for anticipated import declarations, and so on. So, the orientation of the lorry is based on the risk analysis of ICS2 in the one part, and in second part of all the analysis of the customs declaration, or if it's CANE, ATA, or ATA CANET, or TIR, we are oriented in orange lane in order to do the formalities at the customs office. So you have a little schema in order to illustrate this part. And ICS2 controls and other controls of the customs declarations are performed at the Brexit customs office in the first point of entry. Okay, even if it's transit declaration for the goods. ICS2 is not mandatory from 1st April. You will have a window deployment between 1st April 25 and 1st September 25. So you will have to approach your national customs administration in order to see and to analyze with your administration when you will deploy ICS2, when what is required in order to use ICS2. Because ICS2 is a trans-European system, and it's required not only for the smart border, but also for all exchange of goods with another country which is not in the European Union at import. Yes, it's more when we talk about the references of declarations, it's MRN for ENS, MRN for export declaration and transit declaration, and CRN for import declaration, because CRN is the reference for anticipated declarations. When we, I will just come back to another slide. Yes, here. When we give to the creator of ELO some information for the crossing, it's only pairing, embarking, disembarking. We don't communicate the green or orange lane to the creator to the ELO. Why? Because it's an information processed in real time, and there is no today already it's communicated to the driver only, and we won't change that. It's when the driver presents himself to the customs office, he will know why he has been oriented in orange lane, and if needed, he will check out with the companies and the economic operators, and in order to process the controls or to make the formalities. So now we will present you your support resources at your disposal for ELO's deployment.
In order to accompany you and to support you with all the necessary information, we have decided to create some informative materials which will be made available on our website. We have notably made an informational flyer for businesses, and we've also made a multilingual flyer which will be distributed to the lorry drivers at the different ports connected to the SI Brexit. We will distribute these flyers during one day in March so that the drivers will be aware of the changes as well. We've also are working on a short video in English, which we will post on our website, and it explains just the basic changes, the main changes due to the implementation of the ELO. The website will be the one indicated in point 4, douane.gouv.fr/ELO. And this website is currently under construction, so it's not available yet, but we are aiming to make it available very quickly for you so that you will be able to access all the resources. And so obviously, as my colleague said, we will post the slides which you see now from this webinar, and we will also post a video recording of the webinar on this website just at a later date. On the website, you will also find a user guide and a video tutorial on the new interface, and it will provide a step-by-step explanation on the actions needed to create an ELO. So we're hoping that these supports will be exhaustive and will give you all the necessary information. But if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to contact us.
So just before we can conclude this webinar, it's important to have again a reminder of the calendar of it. Once again, it's also important to highlight that ELO will not change the way you are currently exporting or importing goods, in a way that you will still need to do exactly as today, formalities at export, formalities at import, transit on both sides of the border. ELO will just help us to simplify and to speed up the process by regrouping the formalities under one barcode, but will not change the way you are processing the the crossing and the formalities right now. So it's important to say that, and also important again because we have an audience from the wide Europe. But this is if you are crossing via a French border, as such, especially Calais, Port Tunnel, Dunkerque, or port which are served with ferries in Normandy or in Brittany. And if you're importing goods, if you are crossing via Dover or other ports like Portsmouth, Plymouth, or Poole, you will have also to use ELO. As we said, ELO will start and will be available from April 2025. And after a transitional period, it will be compulsory by September 2025. As described before, at import, if you're not empty, you will need to have an ENS, and this ENS will have to have been logged into ICS2. So therefore, that's why this transitional period is exactly the same as the ICS2 road transitional period. In order for you to be ready by April 2025, once again, it's important for you to anticipate, to try to see within your supply chain, import or export or transit, who will be the best person to be the one creating the ELO. Once again, this person, which can change it for each movement, we will not require any kind of a compulsory scheme or a compulsory creator. But this person will have to be in charge of creating the envelope for this crossing, and for that he will have to be informed of all the formalities, MRNs, LRNs, CRNs, or whatever, which will be needed for the crossing, and will need to have the information in order to answer the question from which was supposed till now to be asked by the bearing agents: empty, not empty, SPS, fish, and etc. So that's the thing that you need to prepare right now in order to start from April 2025 to use the ELO.
So we will conclude, but just before, I will just present you the annexes of the presentation with some information of ICS2 and the required dataset for the ENS and the regulatory framework for ICS2. It's the first element you will need in order to understand how it works. And to conclude, I have to precise that we have been supported by DG Reform at the European Commission on this project, on the communication of the campaign of communication for ELO project. So we are very grateful to this support and to our contractor. They both help us to organize this campaign and to make all the supports, and the team can focus on the IT project with this support. So thank you for all of that. And I will wish you to have a nice day. And we are at your disposal. You can contact your National Customs Administration, and they will know how to contact us if you need some precisions. Our website will be regularly updated with some information, and I think we will make another large communication when it will be deployed in April. And yes, for those who connect just after the beginning of the webinar, I remind that this webinar was recorded. We will send you the recording and the support of the presentation and the Q&A which have been asked in the dedicated space in the webinar. So in a few days, you will have all the documents. Thank you to everyone, and wish you a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And thank you for your attention and your questions.